Hey YouTubers, this is Nurse J at Nursing the Truth, and I hope everyone's having a wonderful day today. So, we're on our part 2 series about the Annunaki gods and the building of the pyramids. So, if you're not familiar with your Annunaki gods, please go and do a lot of research on these critters. They are the ones that fell from heaven down to earth and made heaven and earth a bond together. So, the infamous brothers, Enki and Enlil, and their children and their cousins, this is quite a disastrous mess, these little ethereal beings. You know, a lot of these ethereal beings, like your Lemurians, Atlanteans, Hyperboreans, Reptilians, Draconians, and Pleiadians, and Anunnakis, boy, it can make your head spin. But the only way we know about these entities or deities or shining ones or angels is through the Sumerian tablets that were found underneath King Ashurbanipal's library in Nineveh. He was the Assyrian king. Without these tablets, we would not know the true history and the origins of mankind and what has happened and what and how is it going to be exposed. Even the Pope has said that he would freely baptize our brothers in Christ, the extraterrestrials. So, let's take a look at part 2 and what actually happened after these pyramids were erected. And it says that Marduk, Enki's son, replaced Nigashita's face from the Sphinx, the Lion Monument. Marduk lost the first war of the pyramids, called the Great War of the Anunnaki, and went into exile. He became known to the Egyptians as Amun-Ra, meaning the exiled god Ra. Enki and Enlil divided earth among their sons. Ninurta, which is Enlil's foremost son, mothered by Enlil's half-sister Nimma. He was Enlil's legal successor and was celebrated as victor after defeating Marduk. Yes, my friends, if you read your wonderful Bible, in the Old Testament, it talks about Abraham and the 4 kings of Elam and Chedorlaomer and all those little things. This is great war. And Sodom and Gomorrah, and these angels came and they blasted things, and the whole thing went up in smoke because the Lord was mad. Well, dear friends, that is your Anunnaki first pyramid wars. And they have done radioactivity on the sands by the Dead Sea in that area. And my friends, it does have radioactivity from a nuclear bomb. They don't understand why and how that happened, but as always, they don't want to bring this out into the public's eye because they are afraid that if we knew the truth, we would be so scared we would not know what to do. Now, this is the drawing, which was on the Sumerian tablets, about the triumph of Ninurta and the Great Pyramids. Ninurta later established alternative space facilities in the Americas. Anu, the father of Enki and Enlil, Nibiru's king for the past 500,000 years, decided to come home to Earth one more time But accompanied by his spouse Amtu, the Anunnaki debated many plans for the future, including how to keep mankind obedient. Obedient. To celebrate Anu's second coming to Earth, a New Year count was established by the Anunnaki. Pardoned by his grandfather Anu, Marduk remained rebellious and later usurped a site, planning to build an illicit launch tower. Frustrated by the Enlilites, he also seized the second region. Ooh, Marduk, what a bad little boy you are. Nigashita, who was known in Egypt as Thoth, they say, was disposed by his brother Marduk, and he took with him followers and flew to the Americas. Marduk declared himself Ra, the sun god, and replaced the moon lunar calendar used by the other Anunnaki with a new one based on the sun's movement. So you see, friends, Thoth was the moon god of ancient Egypt and went on a lunar cyclic calendar. Women, we are very lunar people. Everything that happens to us is on a lunar cycle. Marduk, he also started a new religion in which he was worshipped as a god and the sole ruler of earth, which greatly worried and upset the other Anunnaki. He is the one who introduced the pharaonic reign with the intention to mark the beginning of a new civilization. Well, they had kings in Samaria as well. So you can't say that this new reign or civilization was done first, because you also had Samaria and Assyria at the same time, practically. For the first time, demigods, which is half Anunnaki and half human hybrids, ruled as kings on the earth. They also served as priests in palaces and temples, and today they are known as monarchs and rule mankind in the name of the Anunnaki ever since. They say Enki was known as Ptah in Egypt, which meant the developer, and commemorated his greatness in reestablishing the civilization after the deluge. The Anunnaki were known as Neteru in Egypt, meaning the guardians. And Marduk proclaimed the coming age of the ram as his sign and demanded Earth's leadership. Nigashita started building stone observatories to prove otherwise. This is clearly one reason for some of the dozens monolithic stone observatories erected all over the planet in all major cultures. Marduk built Babylon in Mesopotamia, literally meaning the gateway of the gods. Armies raised by his son Nabu attempted to seize the Anunnaki spaceport. Overruling Enki, the Anunnaki decided to use the weapons of Terra, simply meaning the weapons of today. Ninurta and Nergal obliterated the spaceport and the sinning cities with nuclear weapons. The drifting nuclear cloud brought death to all of Sumer in Iraq. Babylon was among the few places to survive the calamity. So Enki saw it as an omen of Marduk's inevitable supremacy. Finally, Enlil accepted Marduk's supremacy and retreated to the faraway lands. Apparently, this chapter was not strongly connected to the main subject, but the author says my intention was to show you how important the Anunnaki figures went to the Americas, where they built new space facilities. This is important evidence that the great Mesoamerican and South American civilizations, such as the Olmecs, Toltec, Maya, Aztec, Incas, had also been established by the Anunnaki. Excuse me. Important historical accounts were the same as those of the Sumerians, the creation story. Accounts of flying gods which arrived on earth from the stars. The story of gods revealing great knowledge to the humans. The practice of human and animal sacrifice in the name of their gods. Demigods serving as priests and kings. Worshipping rituals. Astounding knowledge of the stars and passing of time. Incredibly accurate and complicated calendar. Finally, they had the knowledge to build dozens of pyramids and megalithic structures across the Americas. But one of the most amazing connections, the author says, at least for me, is Nigashita's name in the Americas. According to the Sumerians, he was known as the winged serpent. All major Mesoamerican civilizations worship the same god. The Incas called him Viracocha, the Aztecs Quetzalcoatl, the Quiche, Maya, Cuauhtémoc, and the Toltec and Mayas, Kukulkan. His name means the same thing in all cultures, the feathered serpent, which means that he possessed the ability to fly. The author says my final connection refers to the story of how the gods of Mesoamerica returned to the stars in their flying vehicles, just like it happened in all major cultures, and since I've mentioned the flying of the gods. So, stick around, my human half-breeds and demigods. And I'm going to bring you part 3 to the Anunnaki gods and building of the pyramids. Stay tuned.